Hello there. This is a message for all those Venusian souls out there. Lovely, lovely Taurus. I am doing your tarot reading today with the Rider-Waite deck, and I am also incorporating the I Ching for some deeper guidance and clarification. Now, I've already used the coin toss method to build up your hexagram, as you can see right over here from the bottom up. And you ended up with hexagram number 62, which is entitled Pay Attention to Details. I'm using Benabel Wen's I Ching, the Oracle book, as my reference for the I Ching. So I'm going to read a little bit from the Oracle regarding this hexagram for you today, and I'm also going to focus on the reading for line 3, which was your changing line today. All right. So, for hexagram number 62, the Oracle says, do everything there is to do a little bit better than everybody else. Pay attention to the details, and in that way you shall achieve success. The timing for your intentions is not right at the moment. It is still premature for you to take action. Initiate small changes toward your goal. Do not petition for dramatic change or instant results. Advance up the ladder one rung at a time. Great prosperity if you heed this message. Or heed the message, I should say, is what it said. There is thunder atop the mountain. I guess I should take this time to say that this hexagram is composed of the two trigrams, mountain and thunder over mountain. Obviously, you have the two yin lines here, two yang lines here, and two yin lines here. Kind of an interesting composition for this hexagram, I thought, as I was building it up. But yeah, so there is thunder atop the mountain, inciting small movements but keeping the greater matter at rest. Maintain stability in the wider foundation, but pay attention to the details and initiate small changes toward progress. A bird in flight delivers a message. It is not the proper time to strive upward. Instead, strive downward. Seek not from the heavens, but seek from the underworld. Seek not to compete with heaven, but if you strive ambitiously, then seek to understand the shadows. Strive downward, not upward. Let the downward striving hoist you up. Great prosperity and fortune if you heed the message. It is not a time for expanding, it is a time for refining. As I was reading this, I was thinking about this. The image I was getting was like an employee at work attempting to, kind of advance their position. Obviously, take this abstractly, if you will. And instead of going directly to their supervisor, they're doing little things around the office or around the workplace that's kind of establishing their reputation amongst their coworkers, amongst the shadows, the little people, as somebody who works hard and works efficiently and gets things done beautifully even. And these small indirect approaches kind of build up and compile behind you and add, notches on your belt, so to speak, as somebody who is capable of, being successful and being an enduring part of the workplace in a way. And I feel like that is the approach that's going to get you the attention to move forward, if that's relevant for you. But try to abstract that out a little bit, if you will. Obviously, it was just an image that I was kind of connecting with as I was reading this. But let's keep going. So, the sage is humbler than the humble, expressing more heartfelt sorrow than the sorrowful, and is more frugal than the frugal. Do everything there is to do a little bit better than everybody else. Pay attention to the details, and in that way you shall achieve success. There will be fruition if you persevere through your endeavor, but undertake it one small step by one small step. Again, pay attention to the details. In the opening lines, hexagram 62 warns not to be overly ambitious in trying to overpower heaven's will and nature. The short-term gains yielded from such ambition will be eclipsed by the long-term disasters that ensue. The progression of the first to 6 lines relay the narrative and what will happen if the warning in the opening lines is not heeded. Do not ascend, but you may endeavor to descend. Interesting. And like I said, I'm only going to read the line correspondence for 3. Actually, I think this is upside down. Yeah, I was like, I remember doing that on 4. Why is it 3? I'm so sorry. Line 4. I'm going to read from line 4. So fourth line says, there is no blame. That which should have come to pass was missed. Forward movement will surely encounter adversity. Do not unduly delay. Do not engage in prolonged undertakings. Time is of the essence. For matters in progress, get them to completion as quickly and expediently as you can. Do not delay and do not procrastinate. The fourth line suggests powerful human intervention that diverts the course of nature. This is an instance where human will was able to override divine will. As a result, an event that should have come to pass by divine will was diverted from its course. That thing that should have happened did not happen. However, at the fourth line position, no harm, no foul. This is not going to be the case at the subsequent sixth line position. I'm going to read one more line from this interpretation because it's quite long and in the interest of time. But it did stand out to me when I was reading it after I cast the hexagram. It's right here. So the fourth line is also a forecast of the general climate of your environment at the time of divination. As it seems, the future is volatile and you do not want to be in the direct path of the storm. Take care of yourself. And the reason why that stood out to me is obviously I live in Florida, so there's a second hurricane forming in the Gulf of Mexico right now that's, forecast to cross through the middle of Florida. Luckily, I'm not in the path, but for those of you that may be, take the appropriate actions to get yourself to safety, to make sure that you're prepared in the case that if you can't go anywhere, if you have nowhere to go. But expect there to be significant impacts. It's probably going to be a historic storm just based on what they're forecasting right now and what the storm is doing at the time of me recording this. But as I was reading this line, it was just make sure that gets emphasized. Because I think there's this notion of people who live in Tampa that, they're not going to get a direct hit. Tampa never gets a direct hit because of burial mound protection or something like that. Don't tempt the universe. The universe is capable of doing whatever it will. And is full of surprises. So yeah, we're going to move on to the tarot reading. Like I said, using the Rider-Waite deck. I think I want to shuffle just a little bit more before I get these cards laid out. But I'm hoping that this message reaches you in a good headspace. Interesting. I'm seeing a wizard hat. Like a conical hat with stars. It's purple, but the stars are yellow. I don't know what that means. It's kind of a random image to come through. Okay, I think they're done. Okay, so our first card, we have the Wheel of Fortune. There we go. Then we've got the Eight of Wands. The Knight of Wands. Seven of Swords. Seven of Coins. King of Swords. Nine of Coins. Page of Swords. Nine of Swords. And the Ten of Swords. Kind of seems like a difficult progression there, doesn't it? We'll kind of see what's going on with you, Taurus. With the Wheel of Fortune at the heart of your reading, It's very much that you're connecting with forces that are outside of your control. Whatever's coming to you is going to come to you whether or not you actively anticipate it or actively participate with it, I should say. I'm like, again, if you're living in the path of the upcoming hurricane, it's just like further confirmation. There's just large forces at work that are going to affect you whether or not you do something about it. It's, just to give it a quick summary, the Wheel of Fortune can kind of indicate situations that come out of the blue that surprise you. It's like a twist of fate, essentially. Like, there's the notion that you can be on this straight path towards your goals and something kind of comes out of left field that surprises you. You get a curveball. And that can be good or bad. I mean, in this particular case, I'm not feeling like it's something necessarily negative. It can be. It's going to be different for each of you. But it's definitely something that you're not expecting. And also pay attention to where Jupiter is in your chart right now, because the Wheel of Fortune is associated with the planet Jupiter. Jupiter is still transiting through Gemini. I believe forecast to turn retrograde shortly. I haven't looked in a few days. But just kind of keep an eye on where Jupiter is in your chart, because I feel like that might indicate to you where the curveball is going to be coming from, and how it's going to be manifesting, whether it's like a positive or negative thing, whatever those words mean. Your first challenge, we have the 8 of Wands. This is like incoming energy. This is like focused, directed, passion, drive, will, even message, romance, storm. I mean, I keep feeling compelled to connect back to that analogy. Like, something is coming towards you, it's approaching you, and it's acting as a challenge for you. Like, it's something that's maybe is the curveball, so to speak, because I'm seeing it kind of going into this Wheel of Fortune like this. Like, this is the curveball that's coming at you out of left field, the thing that you don't expect, that's taking you off course. It's pushed you off your straight path towards your goals, and is kind of forcing you to focus on other things. Rather than making the big change to progress forward, now you're having to move backwards and work on your home situation, your home, your inner mountain. I'm trying to like make an analogy to this hexagram number 62, because it was the energy of kind of going downward, of descending, going within rather than going outward. So it's kind of like consolidating your resources where you need them, rather than trying to put the energy out into moving things. Like, it's not the time for that. It's the time for gathering and preparing and refining and making sure that you have your foundation set and steady, in a way that's going to support you when you are ready to make that movement. In the past, you have the 7 of Coins. This is like the careful, deliberate energy of working towards your goals, of having planted the seeds, having started the projects, having maybe even started a relationship or something. I'm trying to universalize this a little bit. And kind of waiting for the results of the work that you've put in. The key word that I think of when I see the 7 of Coins is like patience, endurance, waiting. Yeah, then this Wheel of Fortune just kind of comes out, and now you're focused on something else. You're focused on this King of Swords, which is in your future position. And this King of Swords is very discerning, very cold, very cutting, logical, rational. Maybe not so much concerned with the earth element, which is, what the 7 of Coins is connecting with, but rather making difficult decisions is within the nature of this King of Swords, and it could represent an aspect of yourself, could represent another person. Usually it's an air sign, Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius, or just somebody who's very analytical, very dry, very cutthroat, even. Can be kind of difficult to work with, but is somebody that has a perspective that's very necessary. You need to have those people that are able to think objectively and clearly and rationally and not have emotions, or attachments to things get in the way of that. Like very, I'm hearing like very computerized thinking. Like you need those people, and you maybe need to embody that aspect of yourself in order to face what's coming, in order to mitigate whatever this Wheel of Fortune, Eight of Wands situation is presenting you with. There's a need to kind of separate yourself from your natural inclinations and your natural reactions, your emotional reactions, even. At the base of your reading, you have the Knight of Wands. And this is representing like a dynamic, moving energy, passion, drive. Interesting. I feel like I felt kind of called to mention that from my perspective, it seems like he's moving west towards the setting sun. Yeah, there's this need to like finish or tie up loose ends before progressing. Like maybe this Eight of Wands challenge that's kind of presenting itself to you is like you were preparing to move forward with something and to move into the next chapter or move into a new level of progression with a relationship or a career or something, however it's manifesting for you. And this Eight of Wands energy kind of came in. It was like messages telling you, hey, something went wrong with this project that you worked on, or something was left unfinished. And it's like it's happening on multiple fronts. Like there's multiple pieces that need to be put in order before you're able to make that larger progression. More preparatory work, maybe editing, refining, going back over something that's already been done is kind of the energy that I'm connecting with, because it needs to be reinforced in some way. And so this Knight of Wands at the base of your reading is kind of like the energy of movement within yourself, maybe in it's kind of difficult to, I'm getting like so many conflicting images. Interesting. Okay, so the one image that's kind of coming through with clearest is he's going around and he's warning. Like he's providing warning. He's providing he's giving news of something that's coming ahead of time. And he's inciting the community or the people around him into action because they need to get the work done before this particular deadline is imposed. Or the deadline's already imposed, but before they reach the gateway of the deadline, they need to have this work done, and it needs to be done well and right. There's like specific numbers that need to be met. It's very very methodical, and I feel like it's something that this King of Swords is kind of helping to implement. Like this person is a person that's got the plan in place and is kind of organized and structured the course of action in a way that's very clearly delineated. There's no room for error. There's no room for maybe even flexibility. There can be some inflexibility there, but it's like that inflexibility feels necessary in some way. And so this Knight of Wands is kind of going around, and I'm hearing like touching wands, like passing torches. Like he's carrying a torch on a horse and he's lighting the torches of the people that he's passing, inciting them to action, invigorating them with purpose, and giving them reason to carry out their work. Hopefully that makes sense. I don't know if this is representing you or somebody else outside of yourself. It is at the base of your reading, so I feel like it's maybe an inclination that's coming from within you, to embody this, to kind of incite the people around you into action, into doing something that's necessary, trying to get everybody on the same page. Like you're carrying out the orders of this King of Swords. You know, this is the action that's being carried out under will of the intellect, under rule of the intellect, I should say, under clear, the clear thought has been attained, the clear plan has been outlined, and now it's enacting it. At the crown of your reading, you have the Seven of Swords. Sorry, little fungus gnat from my houseplants. This can represent indecision, maybe lingering. No. Okay, so what I'm getting is like somebody moving so quickly with the work that's getting done that they're kind of looking back and realizing that they're leaving things behind that should have either been brought with them or should have been finished beforehand. But it's like there's no time. So like there's this energy of like being split, of like moving in one direction but like being really fixated on the opposite direction, like what's behind, like trying to progress with something while being very, I don't know how to word this. This reading has been very, very like bizarre for me, because like at moments I feel like a message is like screaming at me and like drowning out the other voices, but right now it's like there's too many different voices clamoring, and maybe that's part of the problem here with the Seven of Swords, like trying to carry out your own work but being very much focused on the work that everybody else is doing, like trying to make sure that you're getting things done correctly, but you're needing to be the person that's overseeing what they're doing at the same time. Like there's a lot of different factors, and you're trying to keep stock of each of them, and it's making it very difficult for you to focus on any one thing. I'm called to mention that he's carrying a bunch of swords. That's like different obligations, different projects or ideas even. And he's got his hands full in a way. So maybe that's kind of representing you trying to balance all these different factors and trying to make sure that you have the correct approach, and making sure that everyone else around you is also approaching things correctly. If we're going to go back to the hurricane analogy, I can see this as somebody who's trying to help themselves prepare while also making sure that your neighbors are preparing, maybe even evacuating, making sure that you're bringing the important documents with you. It's in alignment with that energy. But hopefully that's not what you're experiencing right now, because it's a very difficult manifestation of that. For your current environment, we have the Nine of Coins. And I heard it's like everything seems hunky-dory, like everything seems fine. You have maybe not necessarily the abundance around you, but you have what you need materially, like it's all there and it's provided for. Like there's still food on the grocery store shelves. There's I'm looking down at the next card, because the next card is the Page of Swords, and connecting with what I just said. It's like, that's the panic setting in. That's everybody running around trying to make sure that they're being taken care of, and not really thinking about anybody else, or thinking about the consequences of them taking the last of a certain food or supply item off the shelf and leaving nothing for anybody else. It's like the progression is into that Page of Swords energy. So it's like, just because everything seems stable and secure right now does not mean that it's not the appropriate time to prepare for the worst. And that's relevant, I think, whether or not you're in the path of the storm, so to speak. There's something coming in that you're not expecting, and that you need to be not on edge for, but you need to be ready to act when it does present itself. And not act from this Page of Swords panic buying mentality that I was kind of connecting with. It's more being discerning. If this surprising event hasn't happened yet, or if you have like a deadline or something, make sure that you have maybe certain practices in place that help you to quiet your inner clamor, like kind of like with me with these readings, with all these different conflicting voices coming up and making it a little bit of a challenge for me to connect with the clear, straight message. It's like maybe meditating or reading books, listening to relaxing music, going out and putting your bare feet on the earth, grounding yourself, but trying to make sure that you've cultivated an inner steadiness, that you're in tune with your inner mountain, so to speak. Like, if we're going to connect back to this hexagram, the inner stable place, so that when the lightning comes, you're not, incited into fear and panic, and you're suddenly not able to think clearly anymore. It's like, no, you've cultivated a mindset of steadiness, regardless of the circumstances that present themselves outside, so that you're able to still maintain appropriate faculty to make decisions as necessary, without being swayed by the mental tumult that usually faces us all. I feel like Taurus is being very compelled to act as a point of stability, both for themselves and for the people around them. Like, you're holding space, you're holding ground, connect with that innate earth element within, because I feel like it's going to help you stabilize things in the midst of what's coming. Your hopes and fears card, we have this Nine of Swords, and this is like being plagued by the worst thoughts, being plagued by all the fears, all the apprehensions, all the things that you still need to get done, keeping you up at night, not letting you rest, not letting you sleep. But it's like this difficulty, this sleeplessness, this restlessness, I feel like is also motivating you to maybe cultivate that more stable mindset. So it can be seen as a good thing in that respect. And it's like, yeah, there's a time and a place for these thoughts. Like, if you're making use of the time that's available to you throughout your day, rather than kind of wasting time overthinking things or being worried about things, like that's not getting the things done that need to be done. Like, sitting there and being worried about it isn't going to get you anywhere. It's just going to help make you sink further and further into this black pit of despair and anxiety. Like, what good does that do? So there's an invitation here to, instead of allowing this energy, this charge to build up and kind of explode in your mind as panic, as fear, as apprehension and doubt, do something with that energy. Physically do something. Like, go out and get the work done that is going to alleviate these thoughts. These thoughts are plaguing you because they're things that maybe need to happen, and they won't happen until you enact them. Does that make sense? The mental energy that's building up is a symptom of the energy that you're not using that needs to be used in some way. And if you set your house in order, if you've got your plan in place, your evacuation plan, or you've stocked your pantries in a way, and you've communicated with the people around you to make sure that when the time comes, if the time comes, you're all going to be on the same page and you're all going to act as a cohesive unit. And once you've got that in place, I feel like this Nine of Swords isn't going to be much of a plague anymore. It's not going to rule over your nights, your days with overthinking and being anxious. Now, obviously the next card is the Ten of Swords, which doesn't seem ideal. But actually, I'm kind of seeing it as a positive card. Like it's when you've put all your energy into something and it doesn't work out, when there's a sense of failure in a way, and your circumstances kind of force you into a position of loss or even death, whatever that means. It's a chance to transform. It's a chance to build up again. Kind of, I want to pull one more card to clarify this card, but I'm getting like kind of tower vibes, like having gone so far in a certain direction with a certain course of progression, whatever avenue of life that's manifesting for you, and coming to the end and having the door slammed in your face, or like the building being ripped apart, literally, like having to start again from the beginning. But it's like these provide opportunities for you to improve upon the approach in the future. Like if something was wrong with the construct itself and one event came in and the whole thing just topples, like the whole house of cards falls, it's like, well, maybe the building shouldn't have been built out of cards in the first place. Like, why don't we set a stable foundation out of, I don't know, concrete, stone, like something that's enduring and lasting, and build up from there. Take that as you will. But it's like these Ten of Swords moments are an opportunity to start again and to be better the next time. To do better. There's no such thing as failure. There's just opportunities to learn or opportunities to flounder, like to waste time. And it all comes down to you and your decisions, what you decide to do, how you decide to respond rather than react to the situations that present themselves. And by cultivating this clear, discerning inner stillness, that's cognizant and able to make decisions without getting muddied up with doubt and confusion and hesitation even, that's what's going to help you progress. The descending downward rather than descending upward is about going within, cultivating the inner resources so that you are well equipped to face the outer circumstances, the outer twists of fate, whatever this wheel of fortune throws at you. You have the Four of Swords as the clarification card for that Ten of Swords. Yeah, so it's an opportunity to rest and recuperate, to reflect and to meditate on what's happened and what you can do moving forward. a return to the foundation, a return to the fundamental, the elemental, the basic principles, the founding principles. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. With that, I think that's all the message that I'm getting from these cards at the moment, Taurus. So I'm going to wish you all the best. I know things look a little dicey, but you have the resources available to you to get through this and to come out on top, like to make the most of these circumstances. And connect with your community, whatever that means, however that's manifesting with you, by forming a network of people around you that you can call on when you need them, and that they can call on you when they need you, sort of thing. Like, I feel like that's an energy that's very supported by this reading. You don't have to go through this alone. Start from the bottom and work your way up, but don't try to force things from the top, if that makes sense. All right, Taurus. I wish you all the best. Take care of yourselves, take care of your families, take care of your friends, take care of your animals, your plants, all the things.